Hello, maggots. My name is Pin...
Oh, for fuck's sake. Well, I'm Pinhead, and welcome to the Let's Watch Horror podcast. Rob has advised me that we don't have the budget to keep my voice any lower than it is now, so yeah, fuck's sake. Rob also wanted to promise you guys that this is the last episode we'll have these silly intros on. We're going to go back to our old way now. It's just that Rob keeps forgetting to turn on the mic before we do the proper recordings. So, enjoy that next week. On with the show.
Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to episode 11 of the Let's Watch Horror podcast. You're here with me, Ruby. I'm back. Very happy to be back. And I'm here with my friends Manny and Rob, as always.
The whole gang is back
The
together
whole
again.
gang's together.
Yeah. I had a bit of downtime, but now I'm back at them with a vengeance. You know what I mean? And I'm coming back with a banger of a film, I must say.
Yeah.
Fully.
You enjoyed this more than the last one, yeah?
Just a bit, mate.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
I was basically given the ultimate privilege of choosing the film this week because I wasn't here, which feels like I should have been punished for more than rewarded, but I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to argue. And I had a good think about it, and I decided, I realised that we have yet to have done a biggie. You know?
Right.
We hadn't really done any sort of big classics yet.
The Fly was the only one, but...
That is the only one I was going to say. That is closest to sort of a classic that we've come before.
Yeah.
But we hadn't sort of done any of like the big epic ones that everyone always talks about and remembers when we talk about classic horror. So
yeah, we tried to with our test episode. We were going to have episode number 1 as The Shining.
Oh, you're going to tell them this, are you?
Yeah,
you're just going to go straight in and be honest. Okay.
They need to know. So we thought we'd do The Shining as the first episode because, you know, it's The Shining. And we started doing it and we realised, like, shit, we don't even know who we are really as a podcast yet.
Yeah, no.
And, like, how the fuck are we going to be able to talk about The Shining, possibly... All of our listeners and everyone's all got to be up there in their top 5 horror films. Like, it's up there in mine. It's one of your very favourites.
Yeah, but without question, it's one of my absolute favourites. You know, you're talking about a film that is so obtuse and so and hard to get a grip on anyway. You add on top of that the fact that it's got to be the most studied horror film that's ever been made.
There's documentaries about it.
Yeah, which are like, there's that one in particular. I think it is called Room 437. Isn't it? Where's the name of the room?
I'm gonna have to.
I should know.
What you say.
I should know that. But there's like a documentary named after that room, and it's just it's literally a bunch of theories about the true meaning of The Shining.
Well, that's the thing we had when we were doing the episode. Is I remember getting really stressed because I was like, shit, did that happen or did he say that to her? And then you were like, yeah, we want to get into more of the theories about it. And it was either going to become a 4-hour-long episode where I give myself a stress-induced panic attack because I couldn't quite work out whether Jack said this at this certain time. Yeah, and it was just like, we realised that the biggies, you need to be ready to do a biggie.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, and especially one like The Shining, because that is just, like you say, documentaries abound. When we were talking about it, I realised that I could write a full-on essay about this, probably a friggin' dissertation thesis on this film, and I'm sure people have. I know
for a fact they have.
Exactly.
Like, they genuinely have.
We just weren't there yet. Bless us, we tried, but we weren't there yet.
Maybe one for the books. Maybe one for later on. Later on,
when we're feeling brave.
When we're feeling especially brave. Bloody shy.
Well, yeah. So this is our first attempt at a biggie, one that you will all have known and you will all have seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One that like sparked a whole thing.
A whole franchise.
A whole franchise. A great franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and one of the iconic horror villains, you know, for sure. Like Pinhead is like, I mean, like even before I'd ever seen this in the first place, I knew Pinhead. Yeah. You know what I mean? He is like properly iconic. Maybe not on the level of a Jason or a Freddy, but I would say that I find him more scary in a lot of ways.
This is something I definitely want to talk about, is that I don't know if it's just me, if you guys have sort of picked up on this as well, but I mean, Hellraiser, I don't think we've actually announced that officially yet. We're doing Hellraiser. If you just happen to not have read the title. 1987 Hellraiser. It is undoubtedly a big classic, but it feels like it's kind of on a different level underneath, like Halloween,
It's
like
on the
Where on Elm
fringes,
Street.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't feel like it's quite up there in terms of like how prolific it is. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's close.
I think Pinhead's up there. As the character, Pinhead is up there with them lot, but I know what you mean. The film
Yeah.
Hellraiser may not be on that level of, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Shining, Friday the 13th. I know what you mean.
Yeah, like if you were going to have like a group shot of all those villains, Pinhead would kind of be a few rows back.
Yeah, for
maybe the
sure.
second or third row back from like Jason and Mike Myers and all the people like that, which personally I've never understood because... Again, I hate saying this because I can just feel like the absolute backlash. But I'm not massively into slashers, which a lot of those big classics are predominantly slashers. Whereas Hellraiser is like as far from a slasher as you can really get in
It's
the
too
realms.
sexy to be a slasher.
So sexy, but it's like whilst being in the realms of those big classics is as far away as you can get from that. So I've always found that really interesting. And like Pinhead, he's awesome.
All
bit
three
about-
of the Cenobites are fucking amazing in this. Obviously, Pinhead is the one with the dialogue, so he's the one who you remember the most. But I love the design of all three of those. Like the villains is incredible, and the entire like premise of like BDSM demons. I just think like for them to like pull that off, because on paper that sounds like something that would be silly, But
I feel like that's going to be a massive part of this entire podcast conversation is about like those designs of those creatures.
Yeah,
and
it's
everything,
fucking
to do
it's
that.
incredible.
But I think we have to, before we get ahead of ourselves, do the back of the box preview, set people up, get them ready.
Okay,
Yes.
but after that I want to talk to you about my thing I had with Pinhead.
Okay.
Because it's
Alright,
like,
then.
it's not like necessarily about like the whole BDSM, them kind of thing. It's just an annoying little thing I had about Pinhead, which I discovered about 10 minutes ago when I was drip drying from my shower.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
get
holding
up to-
onto the edge of my seat.
You do you like doing your last minute research while you're standing there naked in the bathroom, Rob?
Well, I don't do it in the bathroom, Manny, because I've realised, as a drip dryer, which a few of you may be drip dryers, if you do it in the bathroom, you get, all like the hot, like,
too
condensed
moist.
air. Yeah, you don't dry as well. You've got to go into a nice dry place, and you don't necessarily do it naked. I have my big towel around my shoulders.
Too much detail.
Manny was asking, and then that made me realise that there may be a few other drip dryers out there.
I mean, I hope that our audience are as curious about your drying habits as me, mate.
I hope so.
It will be now.
Well, maybe in a couple of episodes I can discuss the start of the drip drying technique is you get out of the wet room and go into a dry room. That's number one.
We can make this an entire bonus episode.
Yeah. It takes me almost as long as that would take to drip dry. But anyway, the back of the box preview.
Yes.
We watched it on DVD. We don't have the Blu-ray yet, but it's one of the ones with a banner that is horror classics. So yeah,
Deserved.
and it's the definitive version of Clive Barker's masterpiece. It was Clive Barker that made it, obviously.
Yep.
It's quite a small back of the box preview. In a place between pleasure and pain, there is a sensual experience beyond limits, and in a world between paradise and purgatory, there is a horror that feeds the soul of evil. Welcome to the singular version of Clive Barker and his landmark horror opus, Hellraiser.
Whoop whoop.
That's actually like a back of the box blurb that is genuinely like accurate. Like sometimes you get those and you're just like, yeah, well they're playing up certain elements, aren't they? But that like really quite accurately describes that film in a very nice succinct way. So
It's accurate in terms of plot, and it's accurate in the way that it's quite titillating. And the film is rather titillating as well.
Oh no! Because this film is a bit sexy. Ruby's going to start saying words
I'm
like
not.
that. Whoa! Fucking in callous when you said the word. You listen to this, Maddie, when we bring it out. But Ruby said the word foreplay, just randomly, and then from then
It
she
fit the
started
context.
like instead of being like, oh, that was like that was a smooth surface, or like she'd be like, the surface was supple and
No.
but that's kind of what
That's
Ruby
just what
does.
you were hearing.
Well, I feel like Ruby's opened the gates now.
I've opened
Yeah.
the floodgates.
But yeah,
oh
so
Christ!
my thing about
Oh,
Pinhead.
for God's sakes!
But yeah, Pinhead, alright. So when I was drip drying, we were talking about maybe wanting to change up the questions that I'm going to ask you a little bit, which I'm not going to go into in this episode now because of what happened. So, one of my questions was going to be, how many pins does Pinhead have on his head? I didn't look this up. I decided to try and count myself, and then I try and work out surface area times by ratio, and then back of the head. I didn't have a back of the head.
That's why you were up
picture.
there so long.
Yeah, and so this is one of the things I think about Pinhead. You know, he's going to take you to this realm of pleasure and pain, and obviously, I feel that you couldn't personally do that by just inflicting physical pain. Because you'd eventually get bored of that or start to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So he'd have to inflict some mental pain. And one of those things would be, how many pins do I have on my head? If you don't do this, I'm gonna kick you in the balls every time you don't do it, or if you're a female, kick you in the area.
Kick you in the area.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Well,
Just say kick her in the coont. Just say it.
you couldn't even say it.
Yeah, I know. I had to.
So
I had to round off the blow.
So Manny's cutie swear words are better than Rob's just avoiding the whole subject.
Manny's version of censorship.
Yeah, I mean, instead of penis, it's you little penis. Anyway, so one of his things is that, and I got to about 10, about 30 times, and I gave up. So I don't fucking know. So if any of our listeners wants a couple of Let's Watch Horror points, if you could count them and tell me, that would be fucking awesome.
You need like some kind of 360 image of his head.
I prefer the idea of working out how much, like 50% of his head you see at the front, but you got to take away the eyes, the nose, and the mouth for the back.
Exactly.
And there's also a bit of extra curvature on the back of the head.
He might have a really weird curved skull, so he could fit more on at the back or something. You don't know.
It's quite an exciting mathematical... It's like one of those questions which you get in like an interview or something where they ask you a mathematical question you can never work out. Yeah, and you could be... they'll be like, if working out from the Premier League football, if West Ham doubled its size, I'm a West Ham fan by the way, if West Ham doubled its size of people but it only had 75% of them in the ground, how many people would get in the ground? And you're like, I can't work this out.
Yeah.
You need to kind of, do it that way.
I can't help but feel personally victimised by this question as well. I'm just going to put that out there.
You're not a fan of maths, are you?
Well, my guess could range anywhere between 5 and like 7 million. I really just, I don't know.
Me neither, mate. You're not alone.
Good effort though.
Yeah.
It would have been a good question.
Yeah.
But anyway, where do we start with the fucking wonder that is Hellraiser? I mean, I just kind of feel like I want to start by saying I fucking love this film.
Yeah, maybe we should get that done, and then we can...
Have a fangirl
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, no, I'll fangirl with you. This is definitely up there as one of the best horror films of the 80s, isn't it? Like, it just is.
Of the 80s and of ever, I would argue. Definitely.
In terms of it being like quite a singular vision and sort of being a kind of movie that I like, without it I wouldn't have imagined that this would have even have been made. Like, if you know what I mean by that, it's like one thing that I read was Roger Ebert, who is like he's a great critic.
I think I read this, yeah.
He literally said that the film was like bereft in imagination, and I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That is
Quick question. Bereft. Explain it.
bereft.
Right. That's what I was
of
thinking. I was like, bereft. Sorry.
Yeah, no, he said something along the lines of, it's like bereft in
It
imagination.
lacked imagination.
Like, it doesn't have any imagination.
Yeah.
Like, this film is like so full of imagination.
Just look at the Cenobites.
Yeah.
the Cenobites in of themselves. The entire concept is just like it's like the perfect combination of something that's like nightmarish and fantastical.
Yeah.
Which is like, I mean, it's pure Clive Barker. Not that I'm like ridiculously familiar with a lot of the stuff he's done, but. Like, his stuff generally is pretty fantastical, and it's just...
I'm pretty certain
imagination.
everything I've ever heard and read about Roger Ebert is that he's just such a fucking try-hard of, like, I have a contradictory opinion to the rest of the population.
Not always.
No, but I'll just say what I've seen and heard, because he really does try to just be, like, fucking controversial, because, yeah... That's like the last thing you could say about this film.
No,
Yeah.
There are some things you could arguably say, definitely, but lack of imagination, come on.
This is what we were going for with our Leprechaun episode, by the way. We thought we'd say it was shit just so we could have a Roger, whatever his name is,
Do
thing,
a Roger
and get
Ebert.
like. Is he the guy that he marks things out of 4?
No. Because
I don't get that.
He used to do Ebert, Roper, and Ebert back in the day, and they used to do like a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Oh, okay.
That was
I know what you mean, Rob. There's someone who does that.
Yeah.
I think I know.
It's a very strange ranking system.
But yeah, no, it's insane. I mean, there are definitely criticisms which I could throw at this. I mean, the big one for me is like the line delivery, and throughout the film is off. a lot of the time. But
The main guy, I mean, the dad.
The dad is like consistently like a pretty terrible actor, but it kind of works because I think you're meant to really dislike him as a character. Like,
I like how I'm agreeing with you completely. Of his, we can make it work here. We can make it work here. we can make it work. Oh, yeah.
The line delivery was awful in certain parts.
I definitely think you can definitely see it that way. But we spoke about this while we were watching it, and I get a strange sense of this film, even though it was made in the 80s, so it's not like old or anything, but it almost was like those old movies, you know, from like the 30s and 40s, where people spoke that way in films all the time. Exactly. It was just like, oh, Hester, where are you going to the kitchen? And that's literally how everyone spoke. And it was
kitchen?
Like, the kitchen. Suddenly kitchen has like 7 syllables in it. Yeah. And I think it's easy for us now to look back on that and think it was bad acting. But of course it wasn't bad acting. Do you know what I mean? These were like the top end A-list actors at the time. People loved this stuff. It was just like the way it was done then, like lots of other things were done differently. And it's just strange that like I get that feeling off this film, even though it was made in like 87. I feel like it was a stylistic choice a lot of the time rather than bad acting.
Possibly. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was some kind of a stylistic choice. But I mean, I definitely have seen like other films from this period that I think make that stylistic choice where it was done a bit more convincingly. I think it also would combine with the fact that some of the acting was off. But that is like my singular like sort of complaint about the film. Really, like because I think. In terms of a plot and a premise, I think it is like wildly imaginative. Yeah. I think it like it's. I was saying when we were watching this, like fucking hell, this is intense for 1987. Yeah. Like this film is I do not know what the contemporary audience of the time would have made of this because. Fucking hell! This is near them. This is near them. Like even to this day, some of the stuff in this film is near the mark. Like I think the BDSM element, like definitely still is like whoa, like
yeah, that's still like, today.
Some of the implications that brings is still like disturbing. So back then, like this must have been like horrific. Like, but
this was a year after The Fly. Which is interesting because a lot of like the sort of special effects are very similar.
For
in
sure.
their gooiness.
Love the special effects.
Oh, the special effects are sick.
That's like a whole thing in and of itself.
Moist.
But it was the same time as The Fly. But I mean, as much as The Fly, like I know, made people vomit in terms of how just body horror disgusting it was. Like this goes well beyond that in terms of like you say, like the BDSM stuff. Like. That could be considered risque now.
Yeah, I still find it like genuinely like near the mark. Like some of the implications of it are like genuinely like fucking hell. Like this is a bit much, man. Like I mean, it really does go there. You know what I mean? But it doesn't at the same time. It doesn't go all the way there.
It doesn't have to.
No, but you know, it really does. You know what the Cenobites actually do to their victims, or like maybe not victims, depending on how you look at it. Which again, you know, that's like the part of how disturbing.
Well, the way it makes you think that like some of these people aren't going to be necessarily victims. I mean, imagine, like, I'd love to see the film where the Cenobites, like, can you just fuck off, okay? We've done everything we can to you. We've tickled your balls with fucking, like, Pinhead's head, you know, no mouth faces, you know, I don't know.
You are literally in 6 million pieces. Like, what
dude,
do you want from us?
We cannot do any more. Go back in the real world. And they're like, no, don't send me back. And they try and, like, the whole film is them trying to get back the box instead of get rid of the box.
Yeah.
You know? And
they literally say, don't they, like, is it demons to some, angels to others?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. It's such a sultry fucking turn of phrase.
Well, this is the thing, like, going back to when I watched it when I was a kid, like, of people... Back then, like when I first saw this, I just saw the Cenobites as like, oh, they look really scary and messed up. As I got older, you look at them and realise what they've done to themselves. They do because they want to. Like especially like the lady one when she's got like her throat's ripped, and like it's like going through her cheek.
She's got like fish hooks in her cheeks.
And it spreads, and so her like kind of like is it sarcophagus?
Sarcophagus.
And like there's a bit which I was like, oh,
esophagus.
That's the one. Nice one.
Sarcophagus.
As I said, I was like, no,
a sarcophagus.
That's mummies.
That's what they bury pharaohs in. The esophagus is the thing.
I'm so glad you didn't let that ride. Thank you, man.
No, it's all good.
But yeah, like the way like I was like, oh, that's grim. It must be really painful. There's a bit where she starts stroking it.
Is there?
Like, so the bit that like her throat's
and it
open.
really looks like a vagina.
Yeah, yeah.
I know, it does.
Yeah, yeah.
It does, yeah.
Here we go. You know that, like...
We watched
Pinhead's-
Hellraiser, you can't blame me.
I want to talk a little bit about the way that... Because obviously me and you, Manny, we feel very similar about them. What is the dad's name?
What, the
Is it Larry?
The human father is
Yeah.
Larry, yes.
And,
I thought I said human father.
yeah, the human father...
I was thinking of Daddy.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I was going to
exactly.
say. and Daddy Frank. We'll go into who they're played by in a second. But do you think that Larry's acting is bad? And this is a question for you specifically, Manny. Do you think that Larry's acting is bad because we want Frank to seem really cool? Because obviously, like, Larry is with Julia, and Julia, for some reason, instantly we can tell she fucking hates him.
Yes.
But, and Larry's, like, obviously with the, we can make it work here, and obviously Frank with his, come to daddy. Like, do you think that's why Larry is like, is it bad acting, or is it just him, like, making us think, like, you're
What a dweeb.
You're a doofus.
Like I said, I think that there may have actually have been like a very deliberate thing to make him awkward and like unlikable, which definitely runs into it. But I also think that actor didn't deliver those lines very well. I think it's both. Like I think there's an element of both, but it does add to the weakest performance of the film for sure. I mean, to be honest, like I don't think the acting is this film's tour de force in general. But what's the name of the lady who plays Julia?
Claire Higgins.
Claire Higgins did a fine job. I thought Claire.
She was creepy.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
she genuinely like seems shady and off. Like the whole film, and obviously, she's harbouring like these secrets about Frank, and there are these scenes where she's just kind of like sauntering around, like looking really, and she
Appearing around dark corners and shit.
yeah, no, fully, and she she really sells that, and like the
She's got that
moments,
proper evil stepmother vibe.
yeah, fully, she's
completely.
yeah, completely.
I agree with you in that her acting from like when she's with Larry and the way like she just doesn't give a fucking shit about like anything, and like he's like can I have a bit of help, and she just like fucks off, and like but her acting changed from like how she's with Larry to how she is with, I'm gonna call him Daddy Frankie. Are we all right with that?
yeah, we can do that.
Not get a mistake with Daddy Yankee.
And a hunt and a gasoline.
There we go. I was on a bus once and we went to France and it was like a 16-hour trip and they played that constantly.
Oh Christ, that's what hell sounds like.
Yeah.
How did it take you 16 hours to get to France?
It was like a bus. We made stops on the way. There was loads of like 13-year-old kids and they probably stopped to tell us off for being...
Now that's hell.
Yeah, and it smelled bad.
Carl, they'll tear your soul apart.
Yeah, hey.
Almighty.
But yeah, I've lost where I was. What was I talking about? It was Daddy Frankie.
Yes.
And her changing to her lust for Frank.
Yeah.
That is like impressive because you believe both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally especially
do.
her lusting for Frank when she'll say she'll do whatever he wants.
Yeah, you can feel her desperate boredom as the housewife of boring Larry, who is a total
boring
fucking
Larry.
plebeian. Like, there's one bit where he cuts his hand, and here it's a bad cut, like it's really bad, but he literally walks into the room where Julia is, holds it up to her and goes, here.
Oh yeah.
Christ, this isn't 1950. Like, why are you handing your injured hand to your wife? Like, look after this woman.
No,
Like,
but it's
no doubt she's bored of him.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because, I mean, I like, our audience has probably picked up, I know you two have picked up, like, I like films with likeable protagonists, like, in a horror movie, like, it's not a requirement, but I just enjoy that, and for me, like, this is one of the exceptions of a film where I find the characters interesting, even though at the beginning I don't find any of the characters particularly likable.
No.
Like they're all very, they're like, you've got Larry, he's boring. I mean, like Julia, she comes off as a bit evil, maybe a bit of a bitch or whatever.
Yeah.
But the closest we have really is the daughter. Like she.
I was gonna say, I think she's kind of the intended protagonist.
Yeah, and she doesn't really come into the narrative until quite far into the movie.
Like I forgot how long it takes for her to actually be a part of this film.
Yeah,
She's always
for sure.
there from the beginning, but yeah, she doesn't really take any reins.
Well, yeah,
until-
because the first we see of her is when she calls the house, doesn't she? And she's like,
She's got a
staying
room
away.
because she doesn't want to go. Because they I just want to get this right because I get this wrong. We're in London. We're in the UK at this point. They moved from America or Brooklyn, as Julia makes a kind of snide comment about. It's better than Brooklyn. And he's like, you're back on your home turf, and she's speaking with an English-British accent.
Well, they all are, so, yeah.
Apart from Larry isn't.
Is he not?
No, he's American.
Really?
Yeah, Larry's American.
And so's Daddy Frankie.
I have no sense of accents, clearly. Okay, right. Okay, that makes sense now. Because I wasn't sure. Because I remember she makes the Brooklyn reference, but I didn't know if it was like she was given a choice between London or Brooklyn or whatever.
No, I
And
think
she's
they
like,
were
well, I
in
had to go for
Brooklyn.
this. Right, okay.
And then he's moved to here, and it's Larry and Frank's as their brothers. It's their parents' house.
Yeah.
And they've like moved in, and clearly Frank's been there.
Like squatting there.
Yeah, after his we haven't talked about the ritual yet. Who wants to get us through that?
Oh, the very opening of the film.
Yeah. When Frank gives himself over.
Yeah.
I mean, we like the very first thing we see is that exchange of the puzzle box.
Yes.
And he buys the puzzle box from this trader.
And he says to him, doesn't he, it's yours, it always was, which is very intriguing.
Oh yeah, no, exactly, like it was destined.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
That's a good sale, that.
Yeah, and then indeed, he deserves a promotion.
Promotion to a bigger table.
He takes this box, and we sort of see him like knelt down, like surrounded by lit candles. It looks proper like ritualistic. And he opens up the puzzle box, and fill me in. What exactly?
Oh, that's
what
what
we see. Well, we see all like the chains come through.
And the weird spinning boxes with all the like flesh bits on as well.
Oh yeah, and all the flesh like sort of a bit to it, and then like the chains sort of come out from the walls and like go through him
with like the weird not fish hooks, but they're like little meat hooks. In
I love how they rip into the skin. That like prosthetic and
gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
It is. And what I love the most about this film is that you don't actually see the kill moment. You see those hooks flying, you see some flesh flying, but you don't see the rip moment. Like that's kept under wraps for now, and it is like super effective because you just like, what just happened? Like this film's been on for 3 minutes, and I've just seen like the suggestion of a really brutal killing, but I don't know exactly what happened. And it's great because it doesn't just sort of go in all in balls in. I mean, it nearly does. It gives you enough to be horrified, but enough to want to keep watching to find out what the fuck just happened.
Yeah.
So then we get to the point in which they're moving into this new house, which belongs to a late relative.
Yeah.
And they're moving in, and as not Frank,
Larry
is moving the mattress up the stairs with those two proper like oafish
fucking
dudes.
Creeps.
They're those proper two oafish dudes who are just like, oh yeah, have you got any beer? Just like, fuck off and get my mattress upstairs, you fucking pricks. but yeah, like legit. But they're like, he's helping them move the mattress upstairs, and there's like that really cool sequence where it's them where we learn that Julia's been having an affair with Frank.
Well, I love the way that's done.
So good.
The way the flashbacks are done, because earlier on they've discovered that Frank's been squatting there, and she finds Larry's not around, but she finds the photos, doesn't she? His like pornographic photos,
sexy
photos that he's kept for himself. And she takes one, and I assumed, because I've seen this film before but couldn't quite remember, I assumed the photo she took from the pile was of her.
No.
It turns out it's not. It was just one she obviously liked of him. She later rips the woman out of it and just keeps the image of him.
Yeah, that's right.
But she has that photo and she's looking at it and she's becoming nostalgic, and we get these flashback sequences, which are just really cool because it's just a really nice way to tell that story.
It's brilliantly done.
And there's like the two scenes sort of like juxtaposed against each other of them moving the mattress up the stairs and then like them having sex on the mattress and then like pushing the mattress. It's like, go on, move it there, and then we're moving it to them about
it's
it.
Really cool.
It's really well done. But then obviously there's that close shot of the nail sticking out of the side of the banister.
Yeah.
Catches him, which causes him to bleed, and that blood is what causes the first part of the resurrection of Daddy Frankie.
That bit really reminds me, like, because I love bits like that, you know, where you know it's gonna happen, and like the fact that it's blunt, it's grim, you know. But it really, really reminds me of A Quiet Place.
Yeah,
because the bit with the nail poking up, and you know she's gonna fucking stand on that nail, but you just wait. I mean, this is a lot quicker than an Alone in I keep thinking Alone in a Quiet Place, but
Alone in the Dark, A Quiet Place, whatever the fuck.
There must be some really cool like correlation I've got going on that I'll never be able to bring to life. But yeah, I love stuff like that. Even though you know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
but it still gets me every
time. It leaves
time.
it a couple of beats too long to make you question, maybe it won't happen, maybe it will. Oh no, it's going to. Oh no, it won't. Oh god, it happened!
And of course it has to happen to fucking Larry, who's going to be just a little Larry about it.
Yeah,
he
right,
couldn't be.
Larry.
Frank would have been like, it's just a scratch, and then had
Drinks
a cigarette and had some whiskey and just healed himself. But Larry's here with his hand,
Here,
like we said
Julia,
before.
fix it.
Daddy Frankie would probably be like, I want you to make it deeper.
Just start rubbing himself against
Stick your
his
finger
nail.
in.
I mean, it's kind of a really obvious and on-the-nose point, but it is just that juxtaposition throughout the entire film. And the whole point of the film, really, of pleasure versus pain, or pleasure and pain, where does the line come between those two things? And, you're getting this scene between, Julia and Frank and Larry coming upstairs towards the nail, and as she starts to enjoy herself rather a lot, he gets closer and closer to the nail, and then as she enjoys herself very much so, he hits his hand on the nail, and it's that contrast between the orgasm and his pain, and then pain and pleasure and all that stuff. It's pretty on the nose, but it doesn't stop me fucking enjoying it.
Yeah, no, sure.
It's just really fun to watch.
I mean, it doesn't matter if it's on the nose when it's cleverly kind of edited like that. Because that sequence is. It's done in a way where it's the first taste where we get of that as a theme, isn't it? You know what I mean? But yeah, we get that, and then he starts bleeding all over the shop.
Beautiful blood as well, syrupy and
it's like
nasty.
jelly almost.
We love that style of 80s blood on this podcast. I think that is common ground we all share. Like syrupy red. Definitely not real, but worse than real, more gross than real. This film is full of juice.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's so full of syrup and fucking
full of juice.
It looks like everything's covered in a layer of gelatin. It's just
three kinds of shame glaze.
Everything looks fucking shiny and.
You just realised what I said.
Yeah, maybe it's better that I missed that.
I just said 3 kinds of shame glaze.
Thank you for making him say it twice.
Jesus, boy. but yeah, he bleeds, which causes the first resurrection of Frank, and we get again let's just have a little wank off about how sick the special effects are.
It's stunning.
That bit where we see his legs forming out of the floorboards.
Were they legs? We were confused for a
I
while as
thought
to
they
whether they
were
were
legs.
arms. Or
Oh
legs.
no, they're arms.
Yeah, because they go up and then
like a spider. They bend down.
That is still an amazing special effect.
So good.
It's genuinely it's one of the ones where you're sort of looking at it, and maybe there are audience members that know how this was done. But I was just how, what even is that? But his arms kind of form out of the floorboards, and it pushes him up, and then he's sort of he's half formed. He goes
you just feel he is dragging himself limb by limb
back
out
into
of hell.
This dimension, yeah.
Exactly, yeah, and it's such a painful experience. And yeah, I think the only thing that's aged about that whole sequence is the fact that they just don't use those techniques anymore. So it's very distinctly of its era in that sense. But apart from that, it looks great.
Flawless. I mean, this is what the bit where we find out he's kind of his body's under the floorboards. It's the bit with the heart. It's probably the most delicate bit of the whole film. When you first see the heart, it looks like paper. The rest of it is so thick and syrupy and moist and juicy and nasty.
All those adjectives.
But the heart, it looks really pretty to me, because it just starts becoming a thing, and it's really thin, and it's the only thing in the whole film which I think is it's really delicate.
Yeah.
And it's because it's just him starting to become something again, and that to me is the most clever shot of the whole film. And maybe we'll go back and I'll show you guys again, and listeners
I can't say I noticed
go back
it.
to that bit, because to me it's so pretty, and just it's the one bit of the film which is the start of it all going fucking horribly wrong, but it's the prettiest, nicest bit of the film for me.
But it's just completely symbolic of the fact that there is a vulnerability underneath all of this. In order to be able to experience pain and pleasure and all of those things, you have to have something human at your core, don't you? You can't be Frank is this super callous, arrogant, you barely can call him a person. Like,
he's a bastard.
He's disgusting.
He's a bastard.
He's absolutely vile.
And in his like resurrected form, he is like he turns from a bastard into a fucking hellspawn.
Yeah.
I mean, he is like
his outsides suit his insides for once.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
yeah, it's like I guess it is just reminding you of like underneath all of that horror, he has to have this level of vulnerability because he couldn't take the Cenobites, could he? He was destroyed by them.
Even Daddy Frankie couldn't deal with Daddy Pinhead.
With the big daddy.
One thing I've just remembered, and I'm sorry to go back, but the bit where we have the sequence where we find out that Julie and Frank got it on, that bit where he's outside and like he's like, well, let me in. Fucking, why didn't she let him in? He's standing out in the rain and she's just like...
Oh, I know what you mean.
For ages.
I think it's
He's
because
getting wet.
she's just completely like bowled over by him. She's just like, who is this dark, handsome stranger at my door? And well, she doesn't know who it is at first, does she? He has to say like, I'm Frank, Larry's brother, and she's like, oh, of course.
Oh yeah, he says I'm brother Frank.
She just turns into a bit of a damsel at that point. Like, she's not a damsel for the rest of it at all. She's a badass, but like not in a great way.
no.
She is a badass, but yeah, at that moment she is a little bit of a damsel being swept off her feet.
So she's a bit like kind of not starstruck, but
Yeah,
like
I
struck
think she
by
is.
him and like unable to really know what's going on.
When you're used to the
Larry.
Larry.
And that's another thing, they do it on her wedding dress.
I know.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so brutal.
Oh, mate, the fucking cheek.
That's what's so amazing about the whole thing is like the emotional betrayal of the entire relationships going, or all the relationships going on, is like just as brutal as like the horror that is going on, like the blood and the gore. Like it's all so.
I mean,
brutal.
I'm sure you could probably state a case that like all of the like the horrific stuff is almost like I think it is like a metaphor for the brutality.
Yeah.
Of like the emotional brutality inflicted on the characters by each other, and their like the fucking the backstabbing and the callousness and all of that. But yeah, no, for sure. Even though the acting isn't great, like the characters in this are all quite like they all have their own intentions, and they all have their own kind of things that they bring to the table, and they are all interestingly written. Like I think all of the characters in this, which for me like really like keeps it as of being an actual movie as opposed to it being just a oh my fucking god, this is so fucking awesome, like with the special effects and the gore and everything.
Yeah,
like,
well, they're not just stock.
It keeps it grounded.
Yeah, they're not just stock characters, are they?
No, they're not. They're
even
not at all.
with the daughter, Kirsty, she's sort of like the closest to a generic protagonist, I guess, out of the entire cast. Like she's the young girl and all that kind of stuff that comes along with that character. But they take the time in this film, even though it doesn't really add to the story, they take the time to show her going home with the boy that she meets young man that she meets at the dinner party. Yeah. There's a whole scene dedicated to her like walking home with him, and they have a little kiss, and it's quite, something's going to happen with them. But really, that doesn't add to the story, but it adds to us understanding her as an individual, as a grown woman.
You get to know her a little bit.
Exactly.
I think
and so many films don't take the time to do that.
No.
The thing is that I think that is necessary because I think Kirsty as a character is necessary to this film. Like I said, all of the other characters in this are very unlikable. They're interesting. They're very interesting, but none of them are likable. You know what I mean? I'm not rooting for any of them.
You don't want to spend your free time.
No. I'm not. I don't give a fuck if any of these people die in the context of a horror film, because a part of me is just like, well, you all fucking deserve it. You're all either boring or arseholes. Whereas with Kirsty, she is
both.
like she is definitely if there is one of them, she is like a kind of a stereotypical teenage. Like young 20s.
Yeah, around
that kind of like late teens, early 20s kind of an age range, and she is likable. You actually go, okay, you're uncorrupted. You know what I mean? Like, I think that is kind of the word I would use for her. She's relatively pure when compared to how jaded the rest of them are, I think.
I mean, the thing that we also get with her is this weird kind of guy that's following her around.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big part of her. Later, we understand kind of why he's there in a really weird way, but the very dirty dishevelled man.
Yeah, the vagrant looking dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was actually quite terrifying. The bit where she initially sees him when she walks past that like half open door, because she walks past it and he's quite far back from the door and you sort of see him just behind it. She turns around and his head's like fully sticking out of it.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
And you know, like, I mean, I don't know how that kind of stuff makes you guys feel, but you know, as a young woman and stuff like that, I kind of think like, Christ, if I saw that on my way home, I would start running.
Well, you know what I said, what I'd do in Callus if I saw a scary thing. That applies for this.
Oh yeah, no, legit. I did think in my head when you were talking, Ruby, just like you'd be running home with shit in your panties,
and all my keys in between my fingers.
Yeah, fuck
seriously.
That. Yeah, no, that character. I mean, I'm glad we do get the reveal, but I mean, it's good that it literally does. It is one of the last things we see because that mystery of what the fuck, who or what is that guy is. It definitely adds a nice little layer of unease to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
sure.
never really answered. Like,
No,
we'll get to that, obviously.
But I think it's very easy to kind of like make the conclusion as to what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I just feel like, to be honest, they could have ended the film without addressing it, and I would have gone away happy. And then after an hour of thinking about it, I would have suddenly remembered, like, wait, who was that guy? You know, it wasn't playing on my mind throughout the film, apart from when he was literally on screen, and then I'd forget about him, and maybe that was the intent.
Yeah.
But then he comes back at the end, and we all like simultaneously went, "Oh yeah, that guy!" Like, so it was really strange. It was very strange use of that character. Can't claim to really get it, but yeah. I guess we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Next bit, I suppose, of the film is I wrote this because so Julia has been tasked by Frank to get him blood so that he can become whole again, which is I enjoy that bit. You know, he's in this kind of really mouldy room, which for some reason Larry doesn't seem to give a shit about doing anything. You know, he's sorting out all the other stuff apart from this mouldy room, which he's going to leave, which obviously works for us because Frank can live there, and he needs to be fed to come back. We learn pretty quickly on that this is what he needs to do, but Julia has to go and get the men in for this, and I started naming them because I felt that they needed a name, and one of my notes I put Jared's dead. Because the third one, so all of these guys are pretty sleazy, especially the first one who like awkwardly is like, would you like a drink?
Yeah, that first guy is like the fucking epitome of slimy, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's just a bit of a wrong, and you don't give a fuck that he gets a hammer in the head.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, up until that point, you're feeling vaguely sorry for him. You sort of realise what she's intending to do, and it's like, oh god, dude, don't go in the house. And then in a really like proper close-up moment, like the camera's right in their faces, like he starts kissing her and she pulls away, and he gets violent, he gets aggressive, and he
say like oh, you're not changing your fucking mind, are you? Or
something like that, which just hit me in the pit of the stomach, and straight away I was just like, well, you've just made this a whole lot easier.
You can see her face change as well.
And yeah, she realises that too. Like, you've just made my job so much easier by being a total dick.
Yeah, but then that escalation of like between those men, and then like you get that dude, and then I think there's one more after him, and then you do get.
Then we got Jared.
Jared, the guy who you have called Jared, who's like
he was like a little pet for a minute.
Yeah, I know. He's sort of
he's
like,
cute.
Yeah, he's dressed in like a sharp suit.
He's like a chubby Clark Kent.
Yeah, he is like a chubby Clark Kent. He's got his glasses on, and he's just like, oh, I don't usually do this, and you're just like,
he was nervous.
Yeah, no, you're just
what he actually says is, I get lonely sometimes.
Oh, no.
Jared gets lonely sometimes. Where did he find this guy? Where do those kind of guys have? Well, I suppose a pub, or a I don't know. But she found him. He came with her. He was wearing his I'm going to give Jared a backstory. Okay, so he's been in home for a while, and he's just finished his last book that he was reading, and he thought, you know what? I'm not going to buy another book this time. I'm going to go out and I'm going to meet some people. He goes down the local...
You're making me really sad.
Let's call it the YMCA. The local... And he goes there thinking, you know what? I've got this suit. He just bought it. It cost him a lot of money. Maybe 2 weeks wages. He's got glasses on. Usually, he doesn't bother, but he got his... And he did his hair. For the first time ever, he did his hair, got a haircut, shaved his beard.
He put in the effort.
Yeah, he's there, and Julia's just, hey, sailor... how are you? And he's like, I'm a cool dude. Nice to meet you. You know, and he's like, I'm confident. For the first time in a while, he's feeling confident. It's going well. She takes him back. He goes in the house, and, you know, he's like, well, this is a bit overwhelming, and he's a bit worried about what he's going to do, and it blurts out, I don't do this often. And he instantly goes, oh, this is why you should stay at home, Jared, because you don't say this to people you're about to potentially bang. But Jared doesn't think that. He's not thinking about banging. He's thinking about, you know, what could happen? A nice conversation, maybe some tea. And that's why he gets, you know, that's why he gets nervous, because she goes straight upstairs. And then, you know, as we're all realising that maybe Jared should just get away this time, he gets hit in the... No, he doesn't actually. He just gets like... He doesn't even get hit in the head with a hammer. The other guys get hit in the head with a hammer. He gets, like, pushed up against the wall, and, like, he's, like, fucking dickhead Daddy Frank just, like, squeezes the back of his neck.
Oh, yeah, he, like, properly, like, digs into his neck with his hand, doesn't he? Like, with full brute force, just, like, oh, man.
He's still alive. Like, that's how Kirsty find out what's going on.
Can you imagine getting choked out by Daddy Frank?
On the back of your neck. Like, not the front.
Christ.
Like, yeah. And this is how Kirsty finds out, because she kind of comes upstairs, and he, like, comes out, and he's, like, had all his, like, life sucked out of him. And he's like, help me. Is that Kirsty? It's Kirsty that finds him, isn't it?
I think so. I want to say so.
Yeah, because she sees her taking him in the house.
Yeah,
she
that's
goes back
it.
to that
Yeah.
house and she sees him, and
that's
she
right.
makes her way in to the
right.
house, and then as she goes upstairs, she is confronted by it. Yeah.
Fucking Jared, man.
Oh, poor little Jared.
Well, you've just depressed me, so thanks.
Yeah,
for
sorry
that.
to bum everyone out, but I just really got into that as the film went on. I named my 3 little men. I can't remember the other guys' names, but Jared's got a special place in my heart.
R.I.P.
Yeah, rip Jared.
Obviously, in between all of this, we're witnessing the slow sort of comeback of Frank. He started off as a bit of a gooey mess, essentially, and with each kill, well, the first kill, he makes a big jump. He grows back all his muscle tissue, doesn't he? And like
That's right.
And a bit of skull on the top of his head.
and a bit of skull. And it's still pretty gooey, but it's more damp.
You can't bring yourself to say moist, can you?
I've just said it a lot, so I thought I'd try a new one.
Nice.
Damp. So he makes a big jump, and then is it 2 more after that we see, or 3 possibly?
We see three men.
In total.
2 including Jared, yeah.
But then with the next 2, he sort of doesn't seem to develop as much. He sort of grows back a bit of skin.
Gets redder and redder, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He wears a suit halfway through. I think he takes Jared's suit.
Yeah,
the suit that he bought specifically to go out after
I
finishing
just don't
his book.
really, I mean, maybe there are answers out there to this, but like I don't really understand what the process was of like him sucking the life out of these people. Like I assumed he was some kind of, magical, mystical thing where he seemed to dig his hands into them and like suck the physical like life
Did you
force
think it was kind of like
out
the Mummy?
them. Yeah, like that sort of thing. Like he was draining them and it was going into him and then building his flesh back up. That's what I'd kind of assumed as the film was going on. But then what threw me with that is jumping ahead a little bit when he gets Larry. He looks like Larry.
He says like to Julia, I need new skin.
I need new skin.
I thought he was going to look like... I was hoping to see Frank again because, let's face it. Frank's a bit... He's all right, isn't he?
Yeah, no, Frank's a handsome man.
Yeah.
For sure.
Would you prefer Frank with wet hair or not wet hair?
Well, to be fair, I mean, he's got to be moist.
You
doesn't
take
he?
your Frank as he
Frank always needs to be a bit moist. You know what I mean? He always needs to have a bit of moisture.
Lubed up and ready to go.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Precisely.
I was hoping you were going to say moist again. You said it 3 times in 10 seconds.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, Julia ain't bad. She's got one of those like power, like she looks like one of those 80s power women, like one of the women that you'd see on bloody Wall Street with like the proper shoulder pads.
Yeah,
and
I expected more shoulder pad, to be honest.
Yeah, it's those super confident haircuts.
Oh man, confident is not the word I'd use. I would describe her
Taking
haircut.
up almost as much room as your body
It's
does.
so confident it becomes pompous. That is a pompous fucking haircut.
Pompous pomp.
But yeah, no, I know we were all kind of hoping we would see Frank, but we do instead.
We get Mr. McMahon instead.
We do, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it must have been the same. Obviously,
He's
the
got
same.
contacts. That's literally the change. Is contacts.
Is that
He's
all
got
it
he's got brown
is?
eyes now. He looks like
He
Mr.
looks
McMahon.
completely different. It's mad.
Yeah, no, to be fair, I know I kind of like... This is the reason why this might back up the fact that, like, originally that performance may have been very deliberate, because that actor, when he takes on the role of Frank, he is convincing.
He's
you know
Frank,
what I mean? It doesn't, because I've seen other movies attempt that, where, like, someone else takes on someone else's form, and it's clearly the other actor, and it sucks. You know what I mean? And to be fair, it's not quite up to the level of, like... John Travolta in Face Off doing his Nicolas Cage, which is just like 10 out of 10. But it is really good. It's not nice and subtle. You know, he gets like that proper like the
his
sort
face
of,
changes.
Yeah, he gets like the sort of the evil little micro expressions, and like, you know, the line delivery. He does change it, and you know, doesn't come off as too hammy. Although we do probably need to talk about the "Come to Daddy" line, which is like I think. Like the most unintentionally funny line delivery in the film.
It just out of nowhere, like
Come to Daddy.
come.
Come to Daddy.
I was gonna try, but there's no point now.
No.
Come to Daddy.
Come to Daddy.
Well, at first it's actually Monster Frank that says that to
doesn't he say
Kirsty,
really like,
right?
come to Daddy? It's really quick. It's like, no, it's not like a big thing of like, come to Daddy. It's come to Daddy. And I got another, the way people pronounce, like I maybe this should be a running thing from now on. When people call each other baby, I don't like it. The same way I hate it if someone says they're gonna have some bonbons. You know,
What?
I hate that word.
But you say it weirdly. You say it like really pronounced.
What,
like
bonbon?
Bonbon.
Only because I used to do German in school, and they used to be like, "Der hast du bonbon," and from then on, just don't like that word. But baby, also like, and he has a really way of saying it in this as well. He doesn't go like, "Oh, hey, baby." He goes like, "Hey, baby," and I just like, "Oh,
Again,
like,
Oh, hey, baby.
that's French."
Let me take you back to my earth. I got a friend called Frank. He needs your blood.
Are you enjoying being French Manny for a little while?
French Frank.
French Frank. No, that's German. No, this is just flat out xenophobia now. Jesus.
Oh man, I'm totally lost.
We do come to Daddy.
No, that's what I was going to say. It's that weird enunciation stuff they're doing, where it's just like, "Come to Daddy." Rather, that's not how anyone would say that
Nick
now
Cage
in a movie, apart from the oddball. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a really strange way, and it can't be a coincidence that they all just act like that. You know, So I think it was very much intentional.
Also,
At
I
least
find
hope
it
so.
quite offensive that Frank just bleeds into all his... I mean, it's great that he does, but it annoys me.
Yeah,
he
you know,
bleeds
when
into
he
his clothes.
after his first like regrowth, he's like touching Julia's face. Well, no, he grabs her titty.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was fully expecting there to be like a blood hand mark or something, and he comes away and there's like nothing there, and I'm like, but you're all like
Kirsty pulls a bit of his
Yeah, he's all
stomach out.
sinewy.
Yeah.
The
And
way
if
you
you-
said that was grim, especially because like Manny like pulsed his hand and he said sinewy, and it just
But if you touch like dry fabric with like a wet fleshy hand, do you know what I mean? It all just felt really uncomfortable, and I thought that was so clever, because part of like the BDSM universe is like subverting those sort of like slight discomforts like with things. Like it's not all about all out pain. It's sometimes about like under the skin, do you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So it was just like all that thing was so clever.
And plus it strengthens how much Julia's obsessed with him, because she let him
She still
touch
wants
her.
it.
Yeah.
She still wants the D.
Yeah, mate, that's got to be some strong love. You know what I mean? Like, she looks at him
Some potent love.
Yeah, like she looks at him literally looking like he's just fucking walked through a fucking like some kind of a chemical factory out the other side. She's just like, oh, that's a bit of me. That is.
She did say she would do anything for him.
Oh yeah, anything.
She was not lying.
No.
We are actually coming up to 53 minutes, and if you've listened to us for a few episodes ago, you'll
Wow.
know what that means. It's the first question I'm going to ask you guys in like a month.
Jesus.
Yeah. And so we'll go for just the simple one this time. How long do you guys think this film was in minutes?
Christ.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is that I think this film is like ridiculously well paced. I think
well-paced.
this film is like perfectly paced. It like flies by. Like none of it's boring. So This is going to be hard, actually.
That is tough.
I'm gonna actually just be a complete cop out and go for 90 minutes because
Cool.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get your thinking there. I think it is slightly longer than that because, and it all in a good way, it takes its time. It's not rushed. It does take its time. Like I said, it adds in those little extra details that a lot of films just don't bother to do. That really do just give it a bit of a really good foundation. And so I'm going to say a little bit longer. I don't know the minutes, but I'm going to say 1 hour and 50.
That's
Okay.
110 minutes.
Thank you.
So the first person to get the first point of the year
Yeah.
is Manny. It's 93 minutes, and this is going
Is
off.
that all
It's
it
going off
was?
the back of the box, so you know it's got to be. It's correct for our one. It could be different if you have different versions. but-
I'm not sure which cut this is, but it does say on the back of that it is like the singular version.
Yeah.
I mean, that is geniusly paced, right? Because to be that short
Well,
and to not feel rushed, that's incredible.
This is the thing. Like, I think it does. Like, it has just enough elaboration. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it there is elaboration, but it doesn't stick around on those elaborations for too
No.
long. Like, and it always is moving. In fact,
That's really
I
surprised me.
I
was
think
probably taken aback by that.
might go so far as to say I think the pacing of this is probably my favourite part of it. Like, I think it is like literally perfect.
Yeah.
I think it is literally
It's up
perfect.
there, for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. But yeah, no. Well,
Are we doing other questions?
No,
We're gonna-
we'll
we're gonna
get to
leave
the. I want to hear a bit about the director,
oh yeah, no, the director. Well, I mean, it's Clive Barker, isn't it?
Clivey B.
Yeah,
Clivey B.
you know who, but like you know, he sort of came up as a horror writer. He's a horror staple. This is the directorial debut.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Wow.
he had made well his feature length directorial debut. I'm fucking doing you with the
And I haven't done a
pronunciation.
me yet, so.
Yeah, Christ Almighty! Stop transferring your negative energy to me, boy. Yeah, but he like wrote the Books of Blood, a series. He did 2 shorts before, which were called Salome and the Forbidden. He also has directed 2 other feature-length movies called Nightbreed and Lord of Illusions. Writing has also inspired a few other like bits and pieces, but most notably Candyman is inspired by one of his stories.
That's really cool. That's
yeah.
really cool. I like Candyman.
Yeah, no, I think Candyman might be one to do in the future.
I really, because we could really get into like the lore about that and everything.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, the guy,
Quite fascinating that someone who made a film is just as well revered as this didn't go on to just do a shit ton of others. Like, that's quite mad.
Yeah, I think writing is more his
Right.
is more his forte. I don't know how much he has written, but I know that was how he came to prominence.
Yeah.
And but it was funny. Like this film was kind of you said this film would have, like, we wonder how different this would have been at the time for a contemporary horror audience. I know for a fact that people like just thought this was well above the normal of what was even considered at the time.
I bet it was.
But like people, I saw an interview that was conducted on like a BBC show, I think, called Open to Question, and it's like I think it was conducted not long after this was released, and it's where they have a bunch of audience members like sat round like interviewing the person in question. And like the ones that have seen Hellraiser seem actually disgusted. They seem actually like they're clearly. I think there are a couple of people who are like fans, but there's also a lot of people I think are not.
I'm almost jealous of those people though who got to be disgusted by this, who hadn't seen so much that this.
Yeah.
That must be a pretty cool place to be.
They legitimately are like asking him like, what's wrong with you? like genuinely, they're like you are like twisted.
That's like the best compliment.
Yeah,
ever.
this is like the crazy thing, and it being back in the 80s, they're just like, what if like people went out and did things because they saw it on a film, and it's just like, man, you lot were all ignorant, weren't you?
What, like people start trying to work out puzzle boxes?
Exactly. Yeah, we're creating alternate.
Like, oh no, this is bad. I'm actually creating expanding my brain and being able to work out simple problems. Like,
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking what basically like Thingy's brain training was.
We may like fake 80s blood on this podcast, but we have fucking hate fake moral outrage.
It's one of my...
Fuck all of you prudes. You don't know fun.
Oh no, Manny's fist is going in the air.
We shall revolt against their terror. Like, these are the people that probably think like fucking Annabelle is scary. You know what I mean? But yeah, Clive Barker, I've got to say, for his feature-length directorial debut, this is insane.
Fair fucking play.
Like genuinely, for this to be your first film, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not. I don't think it's a perfect film, but I think what it gets right, it gets like astonishingly right, like ridiculously so. So clearly the guy he must have watched a bunch of horror movies, and he did mention that in the interview I watched with him that he's a huge David Cronenberg fan, and he literally I think he'd seen The Fly, like not that you said it's not that, and he literally was like at any point he was just like, The Fly is one of the greatest cinematic experiences I've ever had. Like the scene where Jeff Goldblum's ear falls off is one of my favourite scenes in cinematic history. Like, you know, he loves that stuff.
Have you seen The Fly? Yeah. I like The Fly.
No, truly a man of my ilk.
I think it's about time, and just because I can't hold it in much longer, is to talk about these goddamn Cenobites.
Yeah.
Yes, mate.
Yeah.
Mate.
I have to say, I think that is, you said, like, maybe one of your only sort of complaints about the film, maybe some questionable, like, acting choices. Legitimately, my only complaint with this film is there is not enough Cenobites. I love these bastards, and I want them to just be about all the time doing their thing. Like, actually, they're not in it that much.
No.
See, I've got to contradict you there. I think the fact that they're not in the film that often means that when they turn up, it is impactful.
Granted, completely granted, and I'm a big believer in that. Villains should not spend too much time on screen, because then they're not villains anymore.
Unless it's Freddy.
Unless it's a comedic performance, exactly. These guys are not fucking comedic. They are not messing about. So I know, I completely agree. It's just purely out of the enjoyment I get out of their presence.
That being said, I also know where you're coming from, because like those scenes where they turn up are just sick.
I found myself...
They're so sick. Like, it's so good.
I actually found myself with my mouth hanging open, like just like staring at the screen, just like, they're mesmerising. The way they look is just, there's not enough words in the English language.
You couldn't contain yourself as well. You couldn't
go,
fucking sick. Oh yeah, oh it's so good.
So
I was like, shut up, dude. I'm watching the Xenobites.
It's this beautiful BDSM nightmare where he's like got his like PVC skin tight suit on with like the nipple holes cut out when they're bleeding, and it's just so cool.
Like, but both of the other two as well, aside from Pinhead, both look actually sick. There's that one who has I think his eyes are stitched up, but he's got like that his mouth.
No. Do you know what he's called?
What he's called? What is he called?
Do you mean the one with who's wearing the shades?
Yeah.
The big fat
one.
one.
There's the
four
fat one.
Cenobites,
There's the one who's wearing the shades, who's like the big the fat man.
He's known as Butterball Cenobite.
Nice.
Yes, I'm so glad I didn't know that. That's amazing. What do you know what the other one's called? The one who's got the chattering teeth.
He's literally called Chatterer.
Nice.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But the designs are incredible. But from when I watched this initially, like years ago, the one thing I always remembered, specifically because it is one of the sickest lines I have ever heard in a film ever, is the part where Pinhead says, like, "Oh, stop with your tears. It's a waste of perfectly good suffering."
Yeah!
It's so sick.
Oh, yes.
It's so sick.
It's so sick. So sick. Because, I mean, essentially, like you were saying about the plot, that's kind of where the important parts we're skipping to is when Kirsty ends up in the hospital because she's had this whole horrific experience, and she makes it out onto the street with the puzzle boxes. She gets taken into some kind of psychiatric ward. She figures out the puzzle box, and then the wall in the hospital opens up, which is so cool.
Yeah, it is.
And she goes down this long dark hallway, and she's like, "What is she gonna see? What is she gonna see?" And this like, what even is
this
that?
This is what I want to talk about. I'm gonna call it hangling, because it hangs and it's something crazy. This is the one bit of the film which I feel like if you watched it on VHS you'd be alright, but as you put it on DVD, so this thing, wherever it is, just looks like a kind of slug with arms with a scary face. Like,
yeah.
You can fucking see the person pushing it
You
along.
actually can?
You can see a dude like, fucking hell, better catch up.
Yeah, you can genuinely
You can
see the wheels.
behind
But
it.
I love that.
Exactly, I love it. And also, like, it says so much about this film that I just don't care. Like, it just brings me joy more than anything else, because I'm like, yeah, that person's really pushing it hard to, like, make it scary.
And just to know that there's a person possibly still alive, hopefully still alive, that's somewhere in this world right now, that, like, they can look back on their life and be like, you know, I may have never read that book, and I may have never run 10k. You know, I'm just vibing of stuff that I've never done. And, you know, and I may have never actually properly finished any decent length PS4 game, but I was the dude that pushed that thing in the Hellraiser film, and no one can fucking take that away
Made
from
that
me.
hangling hang.
And as well, I can prove that to all my friends because, you know, you can literally see me.
Yeah, exactly.
And he did that. That was a little flair I added for the film. Is that I got my leg in shot on purpose.
Yeah,
so
they can't hang, but I can.
Way.
And it's after the hangling chases her out of the corridor. That's when it's not the first time we see the Cenobites, but I think it's the first time we get their speech, get them talking, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
And that's when he says perfectly good suffering and all that kind of stuff. And you just get a really good look at them, and they are just gorgeous creatures. I love them, and they're all so individual and so different. It does kind of bum me out. The one with the fish hooks in her cheeks and like the open vagina neck. She's called the female Cenobite.
She should be called Pussneck.
It's kind of a. I mean, maybe the information I was reading wasn't quite accurate, but yeah, she didn't seem to get a cool nickname. Which I was
Maybe it's because back then, like, fucking dickhead dudes would be like, well, I don't believe she's a woman because she hasn't got long hair. So you need to definitely tell me that it's actually a woman.
Where's the titties?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, and they were like, well, we better fucking explain, you know, like, yes, it's a woman.
It needs super clarification.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But yeah, what would you guys call her? I'm going to say Pussneck.
Badass bitch.
Nice.
I'll just call her Leave Me the Fuck Alone. That's what I'd fucking call her, because get away from me.
Get out of my house.
What is your neck?
What even is your neck?
You also would want to poke it, wouldn't you?
Kind of.
I mean, it depend upon how many drinks I had in me, I suppose.
Nice.
You know.
You only touch my weird neck when you've had a few drinks.
What's wrong with me? I don't feel like you love me anymore.
It used to be 1 beer, now it's 4.
You've been seeing the pinhead again, haven't you?
But yeah, I thought we've kind of said it, but just to say it again, like the special effects in this are incredible, and like the costume design and all of that stuff. Like there are still some scenes in it with the effects that I still find disturbing. Like I don't know if you guys remember it. There's I think it's Kirsty's dream sequence before she sees it all and goes crazy.
Oh yeah, the feather bed thing.
There's like a white sheet over a body with covered in white feathers, and like the blood starts seeping slowly through.
Isn't it the sound of like a baby crying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like disturbing as hell.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, it is literally nightmarish, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. No, that sequence is like
Still
really
pretty to me, like really
Gorgeous.
like delicate and like
not
wet, but even though it is wet, but it's like it's just.
You're obsessed.
Well, no, it's just this film is very wet. Like Manny said, it's juicy, and the bits which aren't just like they pop to me, and it's like art. I mean, this whole film is like fucking art, but there are
that
specifically arty
particular
bits,
sequence. It definitely like is like a disturbing painting almost. I mean, it is like it has that vibe about it. It is very like elegantly presented, but it is also has that fucking baby crying over the top of it.
It's just like.
Adds a little...
it makes it uncomfortable.
Just like the baby crying at the start of Human Centipede 2.
No, we're not doing it, mate. We're not doing it.
Okay, for those of you that know, there's something... I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
But at the start of Human Centipede 2, there's a thing that someone says, and Manny does not like it.
I don't think anyone likes it.
No, but Manny particularly.
No.
That's why I used to say it to him.
No,
he didn't like it.
We're not doing it because you're not elaborating on that.
I'm not elaborating on that. But if you know that, yeah. Anyway.
You bastard.
Should we do a next competition round?
Let's do
Yes,
it.
mate.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the IMDb score, which is a 7 out of 10. I agree, especially for IMDb, not bad.
Considering the fact that like this film does have some questionable acting, and that is something that gets in the way a lot for like a general audience, I think. You know what I mean? Like I know for a fact there would be a lot of people that wouldn't be able to see this film's positives because some of the line delivery is awful. I think that, you know what I mean? So for a horror movie especially, like, you know what I mean? Like, horror movies always get a bad shout, you know what I mean? So 7 makes sense for me. I mean, I would personally go higher, obviously, but you know, it makes sense for an IMDb rating, yeah.
Cool. So, what do you think it got on Rotten Tomatoes, Ruby?
I feel like I've just lost all knowledge I had slowly started to gain last year in how this stuff works. My mind just went completely blank. I'm just going to say what I think they should give it at the very, very, very least.
Nice.
83%.
Cool. Manny?
I'm gonna say, thinking about like critics at the time and knowing sort of with similar-ish movies, like horror movies of a similar caliber around that time period, I would have to say I'm gonna go for 60. I'm gonna go for 60%.
Cool. Okay, so the winner of that round was, well, the person who got this point was Manny again. It was 68% on
God damn!
68. Okay.
This is like the start of the whole podcasting thing, is that Manny did really well and Ruby
I'll learn.
didn't.
I'll get back
so
on
you'll
top.
get back there.
You're on now, bitch.
So, Metacritic, Manny?
Oh, I don't know actually.
What was Rotten Tomatoes again? 68.
68.
Right.
I'm gonna. It's gotta be higher than.
I would have thought
68.
so.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for 75.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna
Oh.
say. So I'm gonna say 77.
Mate, you guys suck. It was 57%. Well done, Manny.
57.
Yeah, and that means you've won the fucking podcast. Well done, Rue. Great. Well done. Just that makes my whole thing exciting. And what's the point? I was going to tell you the prop. No, I'll save it. But it just feels shit that it's gone this way.
I'm sorry. I suck.
You know what? Because of that, no prize. No prize. I get a prize. I'm going to give myself the prize.
Well, all right then. Well then, you know.
50 what? 58.
57%.
57.
That's.
These fools.
But congratulations, Manny, on a straight flush win.
These
Well done.
guys do not know the power of a nipple clamp.
No, apparently not.
Do you? Jesus, Ruby.
Jesus Christ.
Just very angry.
But this is the thing, like at the time, like critics would give bad reviews because they found a horror film like too disgusting and stuff. Like genuinely, like
That's so
yeah,
ridiculous.
I know it.
That's what it's trying to
But
do.
think of the children.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Like, you know, this was
For
the age.
goodness
This
sake.
was the age of the video nasty. You know what I mean? This was a point where like people got so like morally outraged about the possible damage that these films are doing, and so therefore, you know, they got all moralistic about it, and you know, like that's
It's very hard to put
that
yourself
to
in
me
that
is
frame
like
of
genuinely like I think that's the worst thing about the 80s in general was that whole fucking like that with the satanic panic as well about like metal music. Basically, there were people trying to clamp down on all the things I like in the 80s, and look where we are now. They haven't gone anywhere, you dicks.
Just talking video nasties, I haven't told you yet, Manny, so it's a little present for you. Lozman, when we talked about video nasties back in the Terror Tale one, he's actually he wrote a list of all the ones you should watch, so I need to let you know that.
Excellent.
And
yeah.
this guy also commented on his thread. He's got the collection of all of them. And he posted his collection. It's really fucking cool. Like, he's got some of them in Steelbook and all of that. So that, yeah.
There are still some that I need to see. Like I haven't seen like Cannibal Ferox. You know what I mean? Like that's
that's
big
on
one.
the list. I'll show you the list.
Yeah. No, I have read about like video nasties quite a lot because I'm a big fan of exploitation cinema in general.
Do you guys want to know some stuff about this cast?
Yes, please.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I know that you're not particularly overwhelmed by them, but
No, for sure.
still some interesting points here. Do you guys know who played Pinhead?
Yes, but no, but yes. I know what he looks like.
Well, this is something I again want to sort of like to reinforce what I said at the beginning, that it's just like, you know, most people could probably name the actors who played, like, you know, Freddy and Mike Myers and all those like big boys, but like, his name doesn't jump out to me. So it's Doug Bradley.
Yeah. I know. I could picture what he looks like.
Yeah, but he just doesn't seem to sort of have that level of infamy that like someone like Robert Englund, for example, has. Like, it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just my perception of it.
Do you guys know who played Jason Voorhees?
No, but I've seen him.
Do you know what film he's in at the moment that we haven't watched yet?
What's that?
It's Kane Hodder from Death House.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, so we need to watch Death House.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
Desperately.
we
So yeah, Doug Bradley, he is mainly known for the Hellraiser series. He was actually in 7 of the sequels.
Blimey.
Which is quite impressive. Like, a lot of people do tend to drop out of these things. Like,
Yeah.
to be in 7 of them is pretty crazy. My favourite fact, though, about this was, did you know, Manny and Rob, he was the narrator on several Cradle of Filth songs.
Wow.
Really?
Including Her Ghost in the Fog.
Oh shit, that's him.
You know that bit at the beginning when he's like, "As we shall see." That bit at the beginning. That's fucking Doug
That's so
Bradley.
cool.
It's
That's
Pinhead.
sick. That's sick. That
It's
is sick.
so cool, isn't it?
Yeah, no, fair fucks.
And several others. Did you say fair fuck?
Yeah, I did. Fair fucks indeed.
New favourite phrase. Yeah, no, I thought that was really, really cool. Also, he was in Wrong Turn 5, Rob. I don't know if you've seen that
I
one.
only got to Wrong Turn 4. But I do want to watch Wrong Turn 5, and I do want to do Wrong Turn on the podcast.
It's called Bloodlines, apparently.
He's
quite a big role in it. He plays a serial killer.
Nice.
Obviously talking about their like sort of horror past. This one really stuck out to me. He was in The Cottage, which is a film I saw when we were like, God, 16, 17.
Is that the one with Andy Serkis in as
Yes,
well? Where they kidnap that girl and take her to the cottage and
there's
hold
that
her
serial
ransom.
killer like
And then
hanging about.
yeah. That's a wicked
And
film.
it's a black comedy really, but it's like actually got some super horrific.
Yeah.
horror shit in it
That
as
film
well.
gets fucking violent as shit a couple of
I
times.
saw it years and years ago, and then it completely wiped from my memory. And then in like the last year, I vaguely started to remember it, and I couldn't remember what it was called and all that stuff. So I've had this whole thing with it. He has like a little cameo in it. He's listed as villager with dog.
Excellent.
So a proper cameo.
Yeah.
So he's done some cool stuff, but yeah, mainly known for Hellraiser. Sean Chapman is the guy who played Frank. He again is best known for Hellraiser 1, and he actually comes back in 2 as well. He's done a little bit of horror stuff. A film called Psychosis in 2010, but mostly crime, sort of drama, action, like cop stuff.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
I can picture him in the outfit.
Yeah,
Totally.
he has the right look. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah, for sure.
Andrew Robinson, your absolute favourite Manny.
Yeah.
All of our favourite, Larry. Where would this film be without him? He actually played a sergeant in Child's Play 3. I have to say I've not gotten that far in that series.
I recognise him.
Yeah.
I knew it straight away.
And he was also a detective, Rob, I've put your name under this, in Cobra, which is a Sylvester Stallone film. I thought you may recognise that. A lot of police roles for him, which, again, I see that.
He has the right look.
Yeah.
He does.
He's the good cop, Frank's the bad cop.
Yeah, or Frank is the charismatic criminal leader. You know what I mean? Like whereas like Larry is
Gang boss.
Whereas Larry is definitely the sergeant or the guy sitting at his desk going, "God damn it, I need you to get me results."
Oh, come on, guys, can we just work a bit harder?
Yeah, exactly.
Here.
So who played Jared? That's what I want to know.
I don't know.
You don't know who played Jared?
I don't. I think in the credits he was listed as Man 3 or something, so I didn't really take.
But what about
much note
his
of it.
backstory? What about all of that?
Well, I think you put enough information in for us for that one.
Okay. Poor Jared.
One of my personal favourites from this film, Claire Higgins, who was the wonderful Julia. I really thought she was fantastic. She's probably been the most sort of Hollywood successful type out of the cast.
That doesn't surprise me
Not
at all,
at
actually.
Not that she's played massive roles, but she was in The Libertine, in a small role in The Libertine, which was quite a big film. I quite like that. It's a Johnny Depp 2004. This one got me. She was in The Golden Compass, which is the Northern Lights film. What's the word?
Like sort of adaptation.
Adaptation, thank you.
Yeah.
Of my favourite books of all time, his Dark Materials. The Golden Compass film was a pile of steaming wank, and I hated it so much.
They didn't even finish the series, did they?
No.
In the thing, because
and I'm so glad they didn't, because it was bloody awful. It was really, really bad. Obviously, I'm biased because I love those books with all my heart, but yeah, it was awful. But she plays Mar Costa in that, which is quite a big role.
Okay.
Is that one of the witches?
No, it's one of the Egyptians.
Ah, okay, cool.
Yeah. This one might interest you, because we all loved this film. She was in Ready Player One.
Oh, fuck.
As you may guess, it was a cameo role, because obviously the whole premise of Ready Player One is like, look, 80s things.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Ready Player One.
No, we're not going to go there.
Don't want to do it, Manny.
We're not going to go there.
I see you. I see you. He's just sliding in his chair. His right arm's... I know what you're about to do, Manny.
I'm
Don't
not
do
far
it.
behind you, to be fair.
Because I know that you can, and I know that you... Oh, no.
More than
Collectively
anything.
as a we'll leave it at this. Collectively
Can he
as
do
a
it?
podcast, we were not particularly big fans of Ready Player One.
No.
Not
But,
really.
as a side
Well done,
note...
mate. Well done.
That was very, very good. As a quick side note, none of us also were around in the 80s, so that film wasn't for us.
No.
But I don't know if you remember this. She's the neighbour at the very, very beginning of the film.
Okay.
Like the main guy's like walking through his neighbourhood, and he walks past this woman.
Oh, yeah.
That's Claire Higgins, and she's obviously in it because she's from
Yeah.
Hellraiser, which is a big 80s film. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's
right.
kind of cool.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
know what to look for, she
Yeah,
is
right.
there. The other one of import would be Ashley Lawrence, who played Kirsty, who I could not get it out of my head that it wasn't Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
Absolute spit of young Winona Ryder.
I couldn't get it out of my bloody head that Kirsty's boyfriend was fucking whatever he's called.
The guy who banged Stifler's mum.
The guy who banged Stifler's mum in American Pie, he literally he has the same facial structure.
Complete doppelganger.
It's actually frightening.
It's a bit painful, really.
Yeah, no, genuinely, I was expecting him to like go into like a monologue about how he's like, oh, I'm going to be a man of class. You just won't understand.
That'd be a sick crossover.
So Ashley Lawrence, this was her debut film, and she was in 3 of the sequels after this,
Okay.
which I'm not surprised by, because towards the end of the film she is very much still there and
Yeah.
active. Cool one for us, Rob. She had a voice role in The Vanishing of Ethan Carter.
Oh, sick. That's
the game.
Cool.
Yeah, which
That's
is
really
pretty
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
She went on to do a bunch of horror stuff. Like, I have to admit, nothing I'd necessarily heard of, but so much so that she has become known as a Scream Queen.
Cool.
Yeah, okay.
Because she did so much horror. Coolest fact for all of us here,
All right then.
she was in the video for Snuff by Slipknot.
Wow.
Was she?
That's
Yes!
cool.
She has a small cameo role in the Snuff video.
That's sick. I like that.
It's so cool.
Isn't the Snuff video the one with the guy who plays Alex in Clockwork Orange?
Yes,
Yeah,
he's in it too.
I can never remember that guy's name. I mean, he's like a bit of a legendary actor, but
Yeah.
because I do just about remember that video. We're talking about Snuff by Slipknot, by the way, just in case you don't know.
Not to be mixed up with the film.
Yeah,
Snuff,
no,
which is not the best
we're
film.
not talking about just a flat out Snuff movie. We might be slightly twisted, but we're not that far down the rabbit hole. But yeah, no, I haven't seen that video in quite a while because I'm not huge on that song, but fair fucks.
Yeah, we've had many a conversation about that song and that.
Yeah,
But I,
yeah.
upon reading that little bit of trivia, I went back and watched the video. And yeah, that guy from A Clockwork Orange, he's like, he plays like a doorman in it, and he sort of gets
right.
shots in, and then Ashley Lawrence appears like in the hallway very briefly. But man, she looks fantastic. She looks fucking great. But I just thought that was really cool for 3 hardcore maggots. That was
for sure.
That is very cool.
nice bit of trivia.
Right, Manny, I think it is time for you to give us some trivia.
There's some fucking fantastic little bits of trivia. You said, Ruby, that you found it quite strange that like Pinhead and the character Doug Bradley wasn't more well known. He wasn't even particularly well known to the cast. They did a post-production party, and at first he was dismayed because he thought everyone was ignoring him. And he was just like, this is weird. Like, I thought I got on well with everybody. It was only months later he realised it was because they'd never seen him without makeup.
Oh, poor
And so they just didn't realise it was
Don't
him.
like
No, genuinely.
empathy kicking in.
Yeah, no, genuinely, that must have sucked. But yeah, poor man. The film was originally supposed to be called The Hellbound Heart, after the novella upon which it was based. The studio decided the title sounded too much like a romance and asked Clive Barker to change it. Barker offered Sadomasochists from Beyond the Grave, which was rejected for the overtly sexual content. He ultimately opened the floor to the production team to offer up their own suggestions, prompting a 60-year-old female crew member to offer up what a woman will do for a good fuck.
I got time for that.
Yeah, no, genuinely, that is honestly absolutely astounding. This I found really interesting. Claire Higgins hates horror movies. When she saw the movie for the first time at the premiere, she had to leave after 10 minutes because it freaked her out so much.
What?
She's never seen the whole film.
That's mad.
She's never watched the entire movie.
But she must have seen so much. I mean, I suppose when you're there on set, you get to see the mechanics of it and stuff, and it maybe makes it a bit more real. But less creepy and less.
Yeah.
And less
Yeah, no, for sure.
that's-
It might but that's the thing. I think it must be really easy to distance yourself from the content of the film when you're involved in the process. But actually seeing the final cut, it was probably like
That's
damn.
crazy.
Andrew Robinson convinced Clive Barker to replace the scripted line "fuck you" with the actually shot "Jesus wept." So I think that was the guy who played the thing, which I've got to say, fair fucking play.
That
because-
brings us nicely onto the end of the film as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that line. I think it's
amazing.
so weird and so random and so unexpected, and his delivery of it is intense. I fucking love that.
But I mean, it to me it adds a blasphemous element to it. Because obviously, it is a line from the Bible, so for fucking a guy who's been taken over by a demon to say that as his last words before he is literally torn apart, nice and blasphemous. We enjoy that.
Well, he's like a demon himself, Frank, isn't he? He's like a very human demon. So it's just this whole. Oh yeah, awesome. Sorry.
So yeah, the end of this movie, Rob.
I was gonna say what bits do we need to fill in to get us to the point where he says Jesus wept? I'm out of the loop with myself here.
I kind of am too, to be completely and perfectly honest with you.
I think all you really need to know is, Kirsty goes back to the house, doesn't she?
Yeah.
With the puzzle box. The only reason she got away from the Cenobites is because she promised them Frank, who managed to escape their hellish clutches. So she goes back to the house to find him, and then there's sort of like a kind of chase scene around the house.
Yeah, pretty weak chase scene.
Yeah, because she goes back and Frank's obviously wearing Larry's skin and manages to sort of semi-convince her that it's her father, but I think she knows deep down that this isn't right, something's not right, this is wrong.
Her father's actually like a bloody mess in upstairs, that's horrible because she runs up there and she's like, "Daddy," and it's like, "Fuck, man!" I know that you know that, but don't let me know that you know that because that sucks.
It's really awful.
Yeah.
And then you remember, because she's like, it's never explicitly said, but she hasn't got her mother around, and it's like now her father's. Whatever that is on the floor. Her stepmother's gone crazy and I think has just been killed in front of her as well.
Yeah.
So it's just this complete emotional fucking lambast of madness.
And then the Cenobites come.
And then the Cenobites go up.
And get good old Larry.
And get good Larry Frank man.
Yeah, Larry. Which you would
Daddy Larry Frank man.
I thought that would be the end of the film, but it's not because the Cenobites. What did they say earlier? Renegade. Because you were reading out a bit of the plot to us before we.
Mate,
they basically
they go back on a promise.
Yeah, which is this word that I didn't know.
I didn't know it either.
But they went back on their promise, and they do want her. And all of them have
Kirsty
a little.
tries to leave, and the female Cenobite says, "You didn't think you were going to get away from us so early, did you?" And so they're clearly planning on taking her as well. I don't think they have boundaries.
They don't give a shit, do they? They want to take her to the
They don't
fun
have a
house.
safe word.
No, they don't have a safe word.
Rule number 1 of BDSM. Come on, guys.
Yeah, they only have a safe box, which, but yeah, the box, she uses the box on them somehow by playing around with it, and that gets rid of them. Apart from Butterbean, who just gets crushed. Her love interest comes and helps. Sorry, Butterball. Oh yeah, Butterbean is that boxer, isn't he?
Yeah.
So the house crumbles, and they get away from the Cenobites. which I would have liked to see them go down in a bit more of a blaze of gory than Cenobites, but I mean, luckily we got shitloads more films.
You accidentally said a blaze of gory, which
Did I really?
Yeah, which I'll take that. I'll definitely take that.
Sick.
Yeah.
I'm going to write that down as a potential tagline.
Yeah, blaze of gory.
Future film.
But yeah, we eventually escape, and like I said, they use the box to get rid of them. Apart from Butterball, which continuity check. That hurt me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's addressed later on, and we can forgive them for that reason. But yeah, within the realms of this film, she doesn't actually send him back into the puzzle box. He just gets sort of collapsed on by the house.
Yeah.
And she manages to get out with her bow, and they decide to burn the puzzle box, which is when this strange character comes back into
the vagrant looking dude, the creepy ass guy,
really creepy guy.
ends up coming back like with that intense stare in his eye, and he like walks straight into the fire, like he submerges himself in flame. And turns into like a fucking dragon. Turns into a fucking dragon.
Did you expect to see a fucking dragon in this film, Manny?
Well, I mean, I as soon as I saw it again, I was like, oh yeah, but I'd forgotten. You don't at all.
You don't expect to see a fucking dragon.
I don't know if it's exactly a dragon, but it is some kind of a winged.
It's like a skeletal dragon.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it grabs the fucking puzzle box and flies off, and then the very final shot of the movie is we see the merchant from the very beginning offering up the puzzle box to a new buyer.
Frank Mark II.
Yeah, exactly.
So we, from that, to believe that this dragon was some kind of spirit of some description that was working for the merchant, that maybe once the box is done with, bring it back and I can sell it again.
He's the middleman. He probably... I'm going to say that he is like this mythical creature that actually... He doesn't work for that dude. He works for all kind of mythical people that want their mythical things back. He's the that's his company. He's IGetYourMythicalThingsBack.com.
Kind of like the monkey paw thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
so you've got a monkey paw, you lose. He'll bring that Jumanji. He brings Jumanji back to the cellar.
Yeah, exactly.
The crucifix.
Yeah.
He
just because it's finished for that person doesn't mean you can't use it.
He was the one that moved the boulder so Jesus could escape. That's his whole thing. Yeah, exactly.
In the Bible. But yeah, that's how the film ends, and it's just really great.
It is a sickly good film.
Sick.
Mate, this movie is fucking solid. Like it is solid, mate.
Yeah.
Like I think it is like quite happily one of the best film. Like I think it's like one of my favourite films of the 80s. Not just even within the realms of horror movies.
Easily.
It's just like I said, it's like it's not perfect, but the things I love about it, I love so much that it is just.
Well, there are very few films. No, I'll go into that in a minute.
Shall we do the final bit of competition?
Let's do it.
So this is the profit and loss segment, people.
Oh, okay.
So, Manny, how much do you think this film cost to make?
In the 80s.
In the 80s.
In the
man.
80s.
The 80s, yeah. Oh man, this is a tough shout for me because I know this was a British production, so it wasn't Hollywood, which makes me believe that it wasn't necessarily the most expensive. But oh god, I want to say 2 mil. I don't know. I want to say 2 million. I'm gonna go for 2 million.
Really?
Yeah, 2 million.
Is that normal in the 80s?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not the person to ask.
That sounds really low.
Yeah, I know, but I think it probably was low. It was a British production, it didn't involve like huge names. Like I know the special
effects.
I know the special effects were intense.
I'm so glad you went first because I probably would have really embarrassed myself as usual. But I'm going to go a little bit higher than that.
Okay.
I'm going to say double that, 4 million.
All right.
Well, Ruby, you suck. you went away for too long, my friend, because Manny was right. It was 1 million.
1 mil.
1 mil.
1 million. Damn.
Are you serious?
I'm super serious.
They made this film on 1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I thought it wouldn't be that expensive a
Whoa.
production.
You're good at this, my friend.
Yeah, I just.
You are not.
But it's so gorgeous.
Yeah, I know. The cinematography, but this is what I mean. Like, I think they would have spent all of that one mil on on a lot of like the cinematography and the special effects, because the cast weren't like big names.
Yeah, it wasn't going to cost you loads.
No, they weren't big names. So I think that
But these days, do you know what I mean? Making a film of that quality for 1 million, is that even possible?
No.
I know.
I mean, to be fair though, what we're seeing from our 0.5, people can do a lot with a small budget.
That is true. That is very true.
But a lot of those are very short, so
yeah, exactly. To make
a feature length.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, no, it seems like the production of this was generally really impressive. In
Yeah.
fact, I might have to dig in and watch some documentaries about it, see what's going on. But yeah, the second part of the competition then.
Yeah, we're gonna go for how much it made at the box office. Ruby,
Oh, why are you asking?
is Manny about to get a clean sweep?
Probably. What?
Think how many.
To be fair, I think I'm fucked here too, guy.
I don't know how. I mean, I don't even know
I'm
how
not-
well it did at the time. I don't know. I know it's obviously huge now, but that does not mean that it was at the time.
Yeah, I think a lot of this film's like cult following came in retrospect after
Yeah.
it came out on VHS. I'm fairly certain.
And even if it was big at the time, I don't know how that translates into the value of the money at the time.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
inflation and all that. Yeah.
If it cost 1 million to make, and they made like 7 sequels out of this, so it did well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It must have done well.
Yeah.
Okay. 15 million.
Cool. Manny.
That's just.
See, for me, Jesus, I'm gonna go for fucking hell. 25. I don't know.
Okay, well, it's not a clean sweep.
Did I win?
Okay.
You won.
Yay!
It was 14 million.
14 million. Fair shout. Okay. Yeah. No.
No, but I would have guessed that's how much it cost to make.
But will make you happy, Manny. It was a much bigger profit margin than Leprechaun, so...
Yeah. Well, yeah. Of course it fucking was. You know what I mean?
14 million. Wow.
So that's the competition round. There is no prize for this one, I'm afraid.
No
it's just
prize?
bragging rights, yeah. I suppose you can say what we're doing for the next episode if you want, Manny.
Do we already know that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We do. I mean,
Well, Rob knows it.
I know it, yeah.
So what are we doing? For
We're going to be doing another Not Quite Horror.
a not quite horror.
You don't get to pick which film it is. I basically just took your prize and said what it's going to be.
All right then.
Yeah.
No, I'll say that.
Yeah, we're gonna let Twitter decide this time.
Yeah. All right. No. Give the fans something.
Yeah.
Give the fans something.
From a bunk.
Fucking fans. Does anyone have anything more to say on the film before we give our own?
No, I'm ready to
review?
give a little summary.
Okay,
Yeah.
shall I go for mine? Because I'm always quite quick with these.
Go for it.
I'm going to give it straight up with an 8.6.
8.6.
Yeah,
What,
8.6. An 8.6 pins out of Pinny Head. Yeah. Yeah.
What did you say? 8.6?
8.6.
That's very specific.
Well, I felt like I want to start being more specific because otherwise I'm going to just give 9s to the one I like, 8.5 to 8.5s, 8.5s to the ones that I don't like as much as the ones that I really like, and then like 4s for the ones I don't like.
Right.
So 8.6 because it is like it's not one of like the ones I really really fucking like Hereditary and all that kind of stuff.
See,
but
I didn't realise we were doing like 0.67.
you can do whatever you like, but I'm doing 8.6.
We don't stick to a strict regime.
But
Clearly.
I like it a little bit more than ones that I... So for me, it's an 8.6. It's a great film. It really started me off on this kind of like, let's think of more clever, artsy, nasty kind of horror films. It was, to me, like, when I think of all... Apart from Nightmare on Elm Street, which is obviously my biggie... This, to me, when I started with Friday the 13th, moved on to Halloween, did a lot of that kind of stuff, and then eventually landed on Hellraiser, and I was like, what? This is way better than all of them, to me. This is better than the... And I know it's not like a slasher, but it's from that time period, and this one, like, is one of the ones, the biggies that come out of that period that we still dress up as, and, you know, still talk about, and all this kind of stuff. Hellraiser is the one, for me, that's the biggie, and is the one I top horror films.
Rating this is tricky because like I said, like there are like small elements of it that I consider weak, but there are great big ones, great big elements that I think are fucking amazing. I think overall, it can't be too far from your rating. I don't think, Rob. I think I'm going to go for I want to say like, oh man, this is actually tricky because I like a 9 seems like maybe a bit too much, but an 8 is not enough. So I'm going to go 8.5. I'm being that close to your rating this time. 8 for me. It's 8.5. Come to Daddy's out of Frank. There you go.
Love it.
Yeah, no, like, mate, this film is just like has imagery that's gonna fucking stick with anyone who watches it forever, basically, and isn't that like memorable sequences? I think at the end of the day are the end goal of any movie, and this film has a fucking bunch of them. It is like the whole premise is inventive and disturbing and unique, and the imagery is stark. It's like genuinely intense for the time period, and it is aged, you know, not entirely. The acting sucks a bit, but a lot of it has aged so well. So big ups, Clive Barker. Right, like, you should feel proud of yourself. Love this film, yeah.
I mean, I started to doubt myself, but no, I'm just going to do it. 9.5.
Wow.
Fair shout.
That's how I feel. 9.5 fish hooks in the titties out of 10 for me. I just really, really love it. I mean, part of me feels like I'm not even entitled to that opinion because, like, I've watched this film once before a few years ago, and this is only the second time I've seen it. But in a way, that solidifies it for me because, you know, I haven't had to watch it 17 times.
No, you don't.
I will in the course of my life, I'm sure. I could happily watch it again now, honestly. I really, really could. It just really excites me, this film. Like, it gets me excited for what horror was and what it is and what it can still be and where it can go. Like, it's just, you know, for me, it ticks all of my boxes. It's this really industrial gothic, sexy, romantic horror that is just so down in the dirt, bloody, but also got these high philosophical questions hanging over it. Do you know what I mean? It just does all of those things so well.
Speaking of industrial gothic, they got the band Coil to originally do the fucking soundtrack for this. They said it was too disturbing, the original soundtrack.
The producers made them change.
They got like the studio band in the thing to actually do a new soundtrack. But you can actually find on one of Coil's albums, they actually put like the songs which they made for Hellraiser in the thing. And
well, you can see that if
it's just fucking, again, it's ridiculous. The soundtrack is too disturbing. Are you having a fucking laugh?
Well, this is I mean, you're not watching the film. Clearly, you're not understanding the themes at play here. You know, I mean, God forbid, seriously, touch wood if they remade this. I really hope they don't. I don't want them to touch this with a barge pole. If they did, you know, Marilyn Manson up on that soundtrack, bit of 9 Inch Nails, you know, dirty.
I wouldn't
gritty.
say Marilyn Manson. I'd say 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, but for me, in my world, this is, you know, my world, my sort of my sex dungeon.
Nice.
Yeah, a bit of 9 Inch Nails never goes to a
all
miss
that
in a
kind
sex
of
dungeon.
vibe about it that is just sort of like theatrical but gritty and real, but also crazy and fantastical, and just blends all of these things so well together. It
definitely finds a middle ground between very disparate kind of elements, doesn't it? You know what I mean? In terms of like, it is both fantastical and also grounded. It's like kind of theatrical, but also like gritty and not. Yeah, no,
exactly.
No.
I mean, I had some questions about it. I definitely had some questions plot wise. One of the things that kept bothering me was how Kirsty seemed to have a complete mastery over this puzzle box for no apparent reason.
That's a good point, actually.
Particularly at the end when she was like putting the Cenobites back in their place. Like it was that was maybe the only part of the pacing that felt rushed because it was like, quick, we need to end the film.
Yeah.
Kirsty just needs to know how to get rid of them. And that didn't really make a lot of sense. And then, as you mentioned, Rob, like Butterball Cenobite doesn't actually get put away like the rest of them. So I had some questions. It's not like this flawless thing, but in terms of like the way it looked, the way it feels, the whole tone of the piece is just, that is perfect to me. So yeah, 9.5 bitches.
So that's we fucking love Hellraiser.
If you hadn't gathered.
And I'm sure most of you guys do too.
Yeah, you fucking should do. Jesus.
It is truly pain and pleasure indivisible.
Oh, buddy.
The tagline was, we will tear your soul apart. And I appreciate that and I agree with that. So, next week's... Oh, quickly... you're listening to us on any kind of platform that you could review us on, that would be really, really fucking sick if you could just give us a little review. Hopefully a 5-star one, but I'm not going to be like every other podcast and tell you to do that. If you fancy a 2-star, do it. And whatever you need to do. But that would be
express your feelings.
Yeah, if you would do a review for us, that would be really cool because it makes me feel so cool when I get to read them.
It helps us out.
Yeah, and I ring these guys up and I go, oh my god, we got another review! And it's sick, so that would be awesome. And next week's episode is going to be another not quite horror, so we're going to put a thing on Twitter.
We've only done one of those before, so that'd be cool.
Yeah. And we're going to put a thing on Twitter, a poll. You can get that at Watch Horror Pod, all one word, all lowercase, and you can get to our poll and vote and put your, suggestions towards that. That'd be really cool because that'll help us with next week's episode. Yep. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at
Let's Watch Horror Pod.
Yep. And if you want to get in touch with us on Gmail, which was cool because someone did get in touch with us about the debate episode and just gave us just had a nice little chat about it, which was really cool.
That's nuts.
So
wicked.
Yeah. Or if you've got a Point 5 production that you want to have done by us, that you can get in touch with us on that on Gmail. And I think that's all. I'm never going to forget this. I almost did. Thank you very much to Tommy Musgrove for our amazing artwork. I'm going to do that every single time.
I know you are. It's very sweet.
So that was episode 11, guys.
Episode 11. Boyo.
Thank you for listening. See you next time.
Love you.
In a bit, you tarts.